Hello, yogis. Namaste and welcome to your restorative, peaceful yoga practice. We'll start out today's flow in a comfortable seated position, Sukhasana, taking whatever micro adjustment you need to get nice and cozy, taking a tall spine, rolling the shoulders back, and beginning to notice the breath. And as we do, we notice the inner landscape of the body. Notice what feelings you're carrying with you. And choosing to leave that all at the door, knowing that you can pick it up again on your way out. But for now, we'll simply focus on extending each inhale and exhale a little bit deeper. Taking deep sips of oxygen into the lungs, filling them up completely. And exhale, releasing fully. We'll take a few deep breaths here as we begin to cultivate a slow, steady breath. We'll start to invite in some chest circles, beginning to warm up the spine, inhaling as we go forward, exhaling as we go back, and just moving with your own breath cycle here. Our circles will start out small, getting bigger as you go. In whatever direction you're going, we'll switch it up. Maybe starting out with small circles again, and getting bigger as you feel more comfortable. We'll come back to Center Sukhasana, taking one more deep breath here. Reminding ourselves that we don't have to rush through this practice. This time is for you. Next, inhale, arms come overhead, palms meet. Exhale, little side bend to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, little side bend to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, cactus the arms, little back bend. Inhale, back up. And exhale, we release our hands back down to the mat. From here, we're going to send our feet straight out in front of us for Dandasana staff pose. We'll roll out the ankles, swoosh the feet from side to side, flex and point the toes. Next, inhale, arms come overhead, tall spine. Exhale, reaching for your feet, head hangs down, putting a good bend in your knee if you need it. The goal here is your chest melting into your thighs more than it is about touching your toes. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll gently rise back up to a seated position. Bringing our left foot to our inner right thigh. We'll inhale, arms come overhead, turn to your toes. Exhale, reaching for your right leg, letting your head hang. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll gently rise back up, taking a breath to switch out the legs. And as you're ready, we'll inhale, arms come overhead, turn to your toes. Exhale, reaching for your left foot, letting your head hang. Deep breaths here. And as we continue to breathe, we're really sending our breath to wherever we're holding on to tension in the body. If you don't know what that means, you can just visualize your breath going to these muscles and just imagining them loosening up a little bit more. You'd be surprised how powerful visualizations can be within our own bodies. Our next inhale, we're going to rise back up. Taking a breath to straighten out the legs, coming back to Dandasana. Maybe you'd like to roll out the ankles once again. And one more time, we'll inhale, arms overhead, tall spine. Exhale, reaching forward, letting your head hang. Good bend in the knee if you need it. Deep breaths here. Noticing how much more accessible this pose is now than it was just a couple of minutes ago. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll gently rise back up. Taking a breath here. And as you're ready, We'll make our way to a tabletop position, hands and knees, where we'll start to warm up the spine with cat-cows, Marijanasana. We'll inhale, dropping the belly for cow pose, looking up. Exhale, arching the back, tucking the head under for cat pose. And just moving with your own breath cycle here. Coming back to a neutral spine, tabletop. We'll inhale, right hand into the sky, rolling out the wrist, opening up through the front of the shoulders. And exhale, right hand sails across the chest, left hand reaches forward, finding thread the needle. This is a beautiful place to stay, but if you'd like to take it a little further, you can reach behind you with your left hand, finding a partial bind. And releasing that left hand back down to the mat. We'll use that to push ourselves back up to tabletop as we move through a more cat-cows. And coming back to a neutral spine, we'll inhale, left hand into the sky, rolling out the wrist, opening up through the front of the shoulder. Then exhale, left hand sails across the chest, right hand reaches forward for thread the needle on the other side. Feel free to take on whatever variation you took on the other side. Deep breaths here. And releasing our right hand back down to the mat. We'll use that to push ourselves back up to tabletop, where we'll move through cat-cows or find any organic movement that's calling to you. This might be hips side to side. This might be going back and forth between Balasana and Up Dog. Really listening to your body, asking your spine and your hips, what do I need today? Finding one more breath for this organic movement. We'll take another breath in. Exhale, sending the hips back, reaching forward for Balasana, Child's Pose. Knees can be open or closed, whatever feels best on your body. Deep breaths here. We'll walk our hands over to the left side of the mat, sending our breath to the right side body, right rib cage. Staying connected to your deep, steady breath. And we'll come back to center, Balasana, for a deep breath here. And walking our hands over to the right side, sending our breath to our left side body, left rib cage, staying connected to your deep, steady breath. And we'll come back to center Balasana. One more deep breath here. Next inhale, we're going to rise back up to tabletop, finding that organic movement, listening to your body. Next inhale, we're going to come forward, hips drop as we push ourselves up to an upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Savasana. Our head tilts back. We're creating space between our shoulders and our ears. And exhale, send your hips back, Balasana, Child's Pose. Deep breath here. Next inhale, we come back up to a tabletop position. And from here, we're going to send our right foot in between the hands as we come into a low lunge. We want to double check our alignment here, that our toes are closer to the front of the mat than the knee. And if you need to, we can roll up a blanket underneath to help support that knee joint. So we're coming to our low lunge. We'll inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms. Next inhale, we're going to straighten the front leg, straighten the arms. Exhale, bending it back into your low lunge, cactusing the arms. We'll take a few breaths here, just playing around with this motion, taking it as slowly as you need. And we'll let our hands melt back down to the mat, finding low lunge. Exhale, straightening the front leg, chest melting towards the knee in half splits. Our toes are pointed up towards the ceiling, or you can rock back and forth to invite in a dynamic stretch here. We'll come back to low lunge, taking a deep breath here. And as you're ready, we'll make our way back to tabletop, moving through Mary Janasana, or whatever organic movement is calling to you. As you're ready, our left foot steps between the hands, finding our low lunge. Inhale, rising up, arms come overhead. We'll double check that alignment to make sure that we're protecting our knee joint here. Toes are closer to the front of the mat. Exhale, cactus the arms. And we'll inhale, straightening the arms and front leg. Exhale, back to low lunge, cactus arms. And just moving with your own breath cycle here. And finishing up whatever breath cycle you're on. We'll come back down to low lunge, hands on the mat. Really sending your breath to that inner right hip crease. Exhale, straightening the front leg, chest melting towards the knee in a half splits. Our toes are either pointed up towards the ceiling or we're rocking back and forth for that dynamic stretch. Listening to your body, take what you need here. We'll come back to low lunge for one more deep breath here. And left foot meets the right in our tabletop position. Tucking the toes, take a deep breath in. And exhale, hips in the air, Adho Murka Savasana, downward facing dog. It's our first down dog of the practice, so feel free to pedal out your knees, move your hips, take what you need. Next inhale, right leg comes into the sky. Option to bend the knee to open up the hip. Exhale, right foot steps between the hands. We'll inhale to rise, crescent lunge, hands at heart center. We'll inhale, arms come overhead, fingertips tracing along the ceiling as we open up through the throat, the heart, and the solar plexus. Exhale, palms melt through heart center, back down to the mat. Right foot meets the left. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Savasana. Deep breath here. Next inhale brings our left leg into the sky. Option to bend the knee to really open up the hip. Exhale, left foot steps between the hands. Inhale to rise, crescent lunge, hands at heart center. Really sending your strength to the lower body. We'll inhale, arms overhead as our fingertips trace along the ceiling. Exhale, palms melt through heart center, back down to the mat. Left foot meets the right and downward facing dog. From here, we're going to walk our feet towards our hands, grabbing either elbow, putting a good bend in the knee for ragdoll. And from here, we can shake the head yes, shake it no. Rock from side to side. We'll inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, let it fall. Next inhale, we're going to rise on up, vertebra by vertebra, saving our head for last, finding our way to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Once we're here, we can root down through all four corners of the feet, roll back the shoulders, and just take a moment to ground down in the standing asana. Tadasana Mountain Pose is so often an in-between pose, but there is so much power in standing your ground, connecting to your root, and simply being here. From here, we're going to widen our stance just a little bit. Toes are pointed out at the corners of the mat. Inhale, arms come overhead, palms meet. Exhale, bending all the way down, hips drop, hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra, as we enter Malasana Yogi Squat. Feel free to grab some blocks, placing them underneath your hips if you need a little bit of room here. Otherwise, we're just going to melt down into this pose, really sending our breath into our hips. From here, we're going to bring our right hand down to the mat as we start to twist to the left side. This is a beautiful place to stay, but if you would like to invite in a bind here, we can reach behind our right knee, getting a nice little twist. Deep breaths here. And inhale, we'll come back to center. And we'll bring our left hand down to the mat, twisting to the right side. And if you took the option to take a bind, reaching behind that left knee on the other side, feel free to do so again here. Staying connected to that breath. And inhale, we'll come back to center. Exhale, we're going to release our sit bones down to the mat. And our knees are going to stay on up. We'll send our right leg out. And our left knee is up in our armpit. Our right hand grabs just above our left ankle. Our left hand is going to ramble over to the side, finding that right foot as we stay open through the chest. So we don't want to be coming down like this. We want to be nice and open. Really sending your breath to that outer left side body. Deep breaths here. Beautiful. We'll inhale, rising back up. And taking a breath to switch out the legs. So our left knee is up in our right armpit, right knee, right armpit. Our left hand comes just above the right ankle, and our right hand rambles over to the left side, finding our left foot, staying open through the chest. Deep breaths here. And inhale, we're gently going to rise back up. From here, we can bring the soles of the feet together, finding Bandha Konasana, butterfly pose. We can place our hands on the heart, the belly, the lap, wherever they feel most comfortable. Closing the eyes or softening the gaze. We come back to the breath, back to this present moment, back to this inner sense of peace that you can tap into anytime. The next one we're going into is a pigeon pose. We can do this one of two ways. We can either go ahead and send the left leg back, right knee forward, just coming right into a regular pigeon, or we can come into a supine pigeon, down on your back, grabbing just under the knee, just above the ankle, pulling into the chest here. So let's go ahead and find the version of pigeon pose that most honors your body today and most honors your practice. We'll start off in an active pigeon. Deep breaths here. This is a beautiful place to stay. But if you'd like to challenge yourself by bending that back leg, maybe you're working on mermaid in your practice, or a full king pigeon, like a Pararaja Kapotasana. So just finding the version of this pose that is most lighting you up. I thought it was going to be king pigeon for me, and my body was like, no, I'm thinking mermaid. And that's okay. We don't always have to push ourselves to our limits. It's not about that. It's about finding what feels good. And releasing that back leg if you took it. I'll do one more deep breath in. Exhale, gently lowering down to the mat, block, pillow, whatever you need. Finding your sleeping pigeon. We are here for quite a few deep breaths, so take whatever micro adjustment you need to get nice and comfortable. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we're gently rising back up, even though I could have fallen asleep there. And we're just going to gently release into a wide straddle pose, remembering that this is going to look different on everybody's bodies. Please don't compare yours to mine. Arms at a T. We're just going to move left to right. And left arm rainbows to the right side, staying open through the chest. Deep breaths here. And inhale, we're going to rise back up, rocking left to right. And right hand rainbows over to the left side, staying open through the chest. And maybe your hand doesn't touch your foot. That's totally okay. Maybe you're like up here. That's cool. As long as you feel a nice stretch in your right side body. That is the goal. Then we'll inhale back up. Finding our way back to Bandha Konasana, butterfly pose. Hands coming to wherever they feel most comfortable. Maybe it's the feet. I forgot to say that as an option. Coming back to our breath, coming back to this present moment. And simply enjoying each deep breath of today's practice. Whenever you're ready, we're going to send our right leg back, finding pigeon pose on the other side. Or maybe you're finding your way into a supine pigeon here. Listening to your body, taking on whatever version of this pose most honors your practice. We'll start off in an active pigeon, sending your breath to the inner right hip crease. And if you took the option to bend the back leg on the other side, reaching behind you for mermaid pose, or finding your way into your king pigeon, Ekapara Rajakapotasana. Just listening to your body, playing around. Yeah, like on this side, king pigeon feels way better. I don't know. But I'm listening to my body. That's the whole point. And releasing that back leg if you took it. One more deep breath in. Exhale, gently lowering down, finding our way into the most comfortable version of sleeping pigeon. Deep breaths here. And next inhale, we'll gently rise back up, taking a breath in Kapotasana, pigeon pose. And we'll gently release out into our straddle, straightening the legs. Arms at a T, we're going left to right. Right hand rainbows on over towards the left side, staying open through the chest, sending our breath to the right side body. Next inhale, we're going to rise back up, going left to right. And left hand rainbows on over to the right side, staying open through the chest. Deep breaths here. And next inhale, we're going to rise back up, left to right. And we'll release it back down. From here, we're going to come to a seated position on the knees. The next one I'm taking you into is called frog pose. And we have not done this one in my studio before. So if you do yoga with me, this will be a new one. Okay, so we're going to be on our knees, and then we're going to open the knees. We're going to sit our hips down and we're just going to start moving forward. It's kind of like going into a wide knee balasana. And maybe that's where you just want to start, a wide knee balasana, really feeling your hips open up. Now, if this feels good and you want to go deeper, you can then hinge forward so that our knees are in alignment with our hips here, and gravity is help pulling down our hips as we open up through the inner thighs. We're here on our elbows, sending our breath to the inner hips. Here in frog pose. And if you look back at your legs, they definitely look like frog legs right now. And this is a really deep hip opener. Maybe it feels good to kind of rock back and forth. We'll just gently rise back up, finding our way back to seated. Let's go ahead and come back down to our sit bones. And from here, let's come down to a gently reclined position. We're going to make our way into bridge pose. Always adjusting our props as necessary to honor the body. So with our hips on the ground, our heels and hands are hip width distance apart next to our hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hips in the air. We're coming into bridge pose. Taking 3 deep belly breaths here. You should be able to see your belly rise and fall. Keeping those legs activated. Knees in alignment with the hips. Exhale, gently releasing your hips back down to the mat. Taking a breath here. We'll cross the left foot over the right. Right leg comes into the sky, grabbing our thigh or calf for supine figure 4. Our right leg can be straight or bent, depending on where you'd like to feel this stretch. Listening to your body, deep breaths here. And gently releasing our right leg back down to the mat. We'll take a breath to switch it out, crossing right over left. And as you're ready, left leg floats into the sky, grabbing the thigh or calf, finding the version of supine figure 4 that feels best on your body today. Deep breaths here. And exhale, gently releasing your left leg back down to the mat. We'll uncross the knees, taking a deep breath in. Exhale, hugging your knees into the chest. Give yourself some love. Releasing your head back down, we'll straighten the left leg, hugging the right knee in. We're really grounding down through the left leg, sending our breath to the inner left hip crease, flexing the toes through the left side. Hugging your right knee, take a deep breath in. Exhale, right knee sails to the left, upper body twists to the right for a supine twist. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll come back to center. Exhale, hugging the knees, give yourself some love. Releasing your head back down to the mat, we'll straighten the right leg, hugging the left knee. We're routing down through the right hip, pointing and flexing the right toes. Hugging the left knee, take a deep breath in. Exhale, left knee sails to the right. Upper body twists to the left for a supine twist on the other side. Deep breaths here. Inhale, we'll come back to center. Exhale, hug your knees one last time. So much love. And we'll release into Ananda Balasana, happy baby, grabbing the outsides of the feet. We'll be here for about a minute, so feel free to take whatever you need here. Maybe that's rocking left to right, straightening one leg and then the other. Just using this time at the end of our practice to connect to your inner baby. Your inner innocent happiness. From here, we'll release out of happy baby, finding a full body stretch and taking whatever you need. Finding your way to Savasana, corpse pose. This doesn't have to be a traditional Savasana. Maybe you'd prefer a reclined butterfly or a legs up the wall. Take whatever micro adjustment you need to get nice and cozy here. And as you continue to breathe, take notice if any tension is still holding on in the body, releasing the jaw, removing the tongue from the top of the mouth, softening through the eyebrows, and allowing all the muscles in your face to relax. This feeling melting down your neck, into your shoulders, which melt into the mat below, all the way down your spine, into your hips as they fully relax and release. Allowing this feeling to melt down into your legs as they feel heavy, supported by the mat below. Knowing that your whole body is supported by your practice and by this sacred space. You can feel free to stay here as long as you need. But whenever you're ready, we'll start to wake the body back up by wiggling the fingers and the toes, inviting in an awakening breath. And as you're ready, we'll roll to the side as we gently push ourselves back up to a comfortable seated position in Sukhasana. We'll meet with our hands at heart center. The light, love, and divinity in me honors the light, love, and divinity in you. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. Namaste.